and welcome to the latest episode of Mystery Unsolved. I am, of course, your host, Justin Bienvenu, and tonight we're going to be doing a video. Well, I'm going to be doing a video that's probably not been covered very much. I am, of course, referring to the mysterious metal cauldrons of Siberia. Now, why does this? It looks crooked. Oh well. All you need to do is see me, and you can see me fine. What are the metal cauldrons of Siberia? Well, that's what we're here to discuss. So, if you're really unsure as to what the hell I'm talking about, don't worry. It will be covered thoroughly in tonight's discussion. So, before I get going, let me just tell you that I do have two articles. One is very short, and by short, I mean it's like 2 paragraphs long. So, I'm going to read that one first, and then I'm going to be reading one that's quite thorough. I'm talking like at least a page long, but I will try to browse. So if at any point I stop talking, you will know why. But without further ado, Mystery Unsolved, the mysterious metal cauldron of Siberia. All right, here we go. Minri is a town in the Republic of Sakra Yukita, nearly 3,800 miles east of Moscow. There in the basin of the Vilyuy River, Russia has its own Death Valley. This is true. In the late 19th century, Russian explorer Richard Mack recorded strange tales told by locals about paranormal activity in this place. One of the local rivers is called Olgaidach. I apologize if I butcher this. It's in Russian, so sue me. Olgaidach, which means a place with cauldrons, and we're off. Another stream is called Algi Tamirnit, the big cauldron sunk. Locals told Mac that giant pots are buried deep in the earth, with edges as sharp as razors and made of red metal. Some partly stuck out of the ground, and those who spent a night under them woke feeling ill, weak, and with an aching head. In the 19th century, locals said they even encountered giant people who were one-eyed and clad in metal, sleeping underneath the cauldron. Okay, that's just, come on now. Cyclops apparently live under the cauldrons now. Reports about mysterious spheres continued even in the 1930s. Since the 1970s, numerous expeditions have tried to locate the cauldrons, but to no avail. Local hunters avoid Death Valley and say that the terrain has changed so much that they can't possibly remember where the objects might have been. Later research has shown that strange effects in the valley were possibly the result of toxic volcanic gases coming from underground, and they were also the cause of the confusion locals experienced. The toxic gases befuddled their senses and led to fatigue. This is also the reason the area is so poorly researched. So, since pretty much since the 1930s, basically Russian hunters and explorers know the cauldrons exist, but they can't for the life of them find out where they are. They don't remember, they don't know. Probably not really professional, I would say. Definitely not professional, but definitely like, you know, do your best. And like I said, that's pretty much that's that article. So now we're getting into the big article, and this one's a bit of a doozy. I'm not gonna lie. There might be a if I start trailing off, I'm gonna just stop myself. So, all right, let's see here. The local wild man, Chooch Kuna, may not even be in anything exceptional. The most attention is given to a peculiar legend about the Valley of Death and its cauldrons. nomadic Evenki, Yucatans, and lone hunters who happen to wander into these territories have long discovered odd houses shaped like red hemispheres protruding from the perpetually frozen ground. The formations were smooth, with an opening at the top, with a winding stairwell leading to a circular gallery with numerous metal rooms. Despite outdoor temperatures of 40 below, it was pleasantly warm inside. Again, like, what the hell are these things? The Yucatans called these mysterious houses olgis, or cauldrons. They are said to have been forged out of an unknown metal, copper-like in color, but incredibly hard with razor-sharp edges, just like the first article had said. No one has ever been able to cut off even a fragment. Over time, the natives began to notice that the cauldrons are slowly sinking into the frozen ground and disappearing, leaving behind large circular stains or dissimilar vegetation. These places have always signified danger for all living things. A person's head would start to spin, and he would be struck by an unknown but fatal illness. For this reason, the elders prohibited the others from coming to these parts, declaring the region cursed and naming it Iliuyu, Chirketchik, or Valley of Death, pretty much. I don't want to hurt myself. So again, basically, back in the day, they were actually houses, metal structures or houses that were warm inside, apparently. But over time, people noticed that anytime they came across it, they became ill, and the metal structures apparently are seeping into the ground. So now they're actually looking more and more like cauldrons. The problem is nobody knows where they came from. Nobody knows where they came from. Nobody knows what they are, and nobody knows why it's making them sick. This is some strange UFO shit. That's what it sounds like to me, anyway. All right. In 19, one geologist found a not completely submerged in the ground near the Olgadak place of the Cauldron River. A smooth metal hemisphere with razor-sharp edges and reddish in color protruded out of the ground. Its walls were about 2 centimeters thick. Barely a fifth of it was above ground. By the opening in the dome vault was accessible by a person sitting on a reindeer. Wait, what? Barely a fifth of it above ground, but opening in the dome vault was accessible by a person sitting on a... I don't know what the hell that's talking about. A little bit of reindeer. I have no idea. The geologist sent its description to the capital city, Yakutsk, but no one paid it any attention. There are numerous tales of travelers who stumbled upon the Tajia cauldrons. Some sound plausible, others seem outrageous. Yeah, like the person sitting there with a reindeer. Like, what was that about? That was outrageous. Okay. Some guy from some place in a Russian newspaper. Again, names. I'm good at pronouncing names, but when it comes to Russian, I'm not that good. So basically, all you need to know is Mikhail Kortetsky. There we go. I got that one down. Vladivostok. Okay, I don't know. Some newspaper said that he'd been to the Valley of Death 3 times. The first time in 1933, when he was 10 years old. Why is a 10-year-old going to the Valley of Death? That's not cool. The second time in 1937, and finally in 1947 with his friends. He saw a total of 7 cauldrons. All looked mysterious and measured 6 to 9 meters in diameter. The vegetation around them seemed oddly unnatural, more lush than surrounding plants. Giant burdock leaves, long stalks, and weird grass twice as tall as a human. That's creepy. They spent the night in one cauldron, and nothing major happened to anyone. But one member lost all his hair after a month, and 2 small protuses that never healed appeared on the sheet on which Kordetchik slept. Well, that just sounds very uncomfortable and unnatural. Ooh, that's creepy. So one thing that has not come up, but when you Google it, it says that the metal cauldrons are in fact radioactive. At least that's what's suggested. If that's the case, if people know this or knew this, perhaps then they wouldn't go near the freaking cauldrons. Just a thought. These places were located in a distant region accessible only by helicopter, and the cauldrons never fascinated anyone enough to warrant an expedition. How? If you know these things exist, how are you not fascinated enough to go check them out? By helicopter, where it's way more safer than to take a walk up to one, sit in it, lose all your hair, and get like strange warts on your fingers. Not understanding this, people. What's going on? This discovery of one old Aveni hunter met with similar disinterest. In 1971, he found in the ground an iron burrow in which there lay skinny, black, one-eyed beings in iron costumes. No one believed him, despite his willingness to show them to anyone. In the meantime, he unfortunately died. Okay. Only in 1979 did an archaeological expedition set out from the capital of Yakutsk. Despite the fact that it had been a guide, an old settler who saw the cauldrons in his youth, but he didn't locate. An old settler who saw the cauldrons in his youth. The expedition was unsuccessful. It didn't locate the cauldron. I don't know. Again, I apologize if it just doesn't make sense. I'm reading it word for word. The area where they were found had changed dramatically over the years. The vegetation is so thick that one can't see more than 10 steps ahead, so any discovery whatsoever is more or less a question of coincidence. Nobody has had the time or money for such demanding expedition, and so only rumors remain. Who built them? For what purpose? And do they even exist? Well, obviously they exist. I mean, numerous people said they exist, so let's throw that question right out the window, you know? Well, my window is actually over here. It's closed, but figuratively, let's say I threw it out. The completely... Okay. Like I said, this one's kind of big. I'm not sure if I want to read this. But yeah, all right. This one's getting to the Russian ufologist. This is the direction we want to take. This is good. The completely novel and still unsolved mystery of the Yucatan Valley of Death and its cauldrons mesmerized me. Oh, this is the guy that's talking. To find and explore the mysterious metal hemispheres before they all forever disappeared deep beneath the earth would be a worldwide sensation. Photographs still don't exist. Okay, when was this written? Hold up. I don't know when this was written, but the only reason I actually know that they exist is because I've seen freaking pictures. Again, I should just do my research before I decide to pick a random article, but holy freaking crap. I assure you folks that pictures exist of it. You can even go on my Pinterest page. In my Unsolved Mysteries and Unknowns board, there's pictures of the cauldrons. Google Siberian cauldrons. That's what I did. They came up. They exist. I've seen them. This guy's full of shit. Metallurgists, apparently that's a thing, would surely appreciate samples of the rigid yet strangely unyielding metal. Again, if it's an alien or foreign metal not from this earth, you're not cutting into that. Sorry, you're not cutting into that. That's like trying to cut into a metal. That's like watching Superman and watching them trying to cut into a metal that's from Krypton. I know it's a really cheesy example, but you get where I'm coming from. Like, you're not going to cut into that, and you know why. But with this, since we're talking real life, they're like, we don't know why we can't cut into the metal. Maybe because it's from another planet. The illnesses and hair loss of the Yucatan hunters who visited the cauldrons would imply heightened levels of radioactivity in the area. No shit! I just said that 5 minutes ago. And we're like the third big paragraph in, and just now they're saying, gee, hair loss might suggest radioactivity. Really? I didn't know that. But no one knows what's in question and how dangerous it is. It would seem pretty freaking dangerous if it's out in the middle of nowhere. the cold Siberian desert or Alps or whatever you want to call it. Russian ufologists rushed to present the theory that the cauldrons are remains of flying saucers wrecked in a mass accident or battle. Okay, now that's just freaking awesome. Yes, I'll get on board with that. Two UFOs were battling in Siberia, out in the middle of nowhere, and they crashed, and that's what the cauldrons are. Just think about that for a minute. Just think about how cool that is. And if you don't think that's cool, I'm sorry for you. I don't know what to tell you. All right. Russian use researcher Dr. Valergy Uvarov, again these names, even alleges that they are technical installations generated by a power plant located deep in the earth, fiery plasma spheres, made to protect our planet from danger in outer space. So this guy is actually suggesting that the cauldrons are for our benefit, that the Russians place the cauldrons deep inside the earth so that in the event that we have a cosmic attack from another planet, we can just turn these puppies on because there's a plant deep down in the earth, and these things will shoot whatever it is, plasma, I would assume. Again, awesome. And the cauldrons would defend us. Again, I will co-sign that. I get on board for that. That sounds cool. Does it sound a little bit outrageous and ridiculous? Of course it does, but at least they're giving you something, you know? There's substance there. Extraterrestrials built them in ancient times, and now they operate automatically, he said. They shot down a Tungus meteorite in 1908, a Chula meteorite in 1984, and most recently a Beta meteorite in 2002. Today, the radiation levels are allegedly on the rise again, and the wildlife is leaving the woods, as in the preparation for something. We didn't believe in UFOs or the black one-eyed beings. We only wanted to know whether the cauldrons truly exist, and if so, find out what they are. Okay, to suggest they've shot down three meteorites, that I would need to see proof. Is there photos of that? Probably not. All right. I believe the next one is just kind of, yeah, the next one's just kind of like, again, a theory, but it's not a good theory. It was just about a guy, like a pilot, who flew over the area. He had videotape, but apparently he didn't. I don't know. We're going to skip that one. The automobile took off down a dusty road for the town of Mirny, abandoning us under a bridge. Or again, if I say us or we or I, that's because the guy I'm reading that as the guy who wrote it did. He suffered on a stuffed field rucksack and gathered his thoughts. What was he going to do? And this is just nonsense. Okay. Then the land became friendly again, and the animals reappeared, but another deadly area would follow. They say that the Valley of Death is really a whole chain of valleys around the riverbank. In order to explore the entire 200-kilometer patch of the river, you'd have to split into several parts. In each of them, they stopped for a few days, and if the overgrown, swampy banks permitted it, they set up camp and embarked on expeditions. So the first article suggested that people didn't really care enough to do expeditions. They didn't have the money for it. This guy apparently not only did it, but the terrain, the conditions kind of prevented him. And even then, he still wanted to do it. So I appreciate this guy's enthusiasm. I don't know how much of a nut he is, but I appreciate the fact that he's going on that expedition for this. Something about a parachute, breaking in a sprint. Again, I'm not seeing the word cauldron here, so that's why I'm skipping it. Okay, here we go. With the help of a computer, we compared the Taiga photo we obtained from the parachute video recording with Google Earth satellite images to determine the exact coordinates of the circle's location. Overjoyed at the prospect of finding the first cauldron, we opened a bottle of vodka. Okay, So he found him and his guys. They sent a camera, I would assume, with a parachute. They do that for Skinwalker Ranch too. So they put that high above, and whatever that captures, if anything, they then compared this to. They went on the computer and they compared their findings to what the parachute found, and they were able to actually pinpoint coordinates of where one of the cauldrons were. Which, if you remember in the first article, they were like, we have no idea where they are or even if they exist. This is proving that not only do they exist, but we actually have coordinates as to where the first cauldron is. So that's cool. And then it talks about the secrets of the swamp. So basically, I think they found another cauldron in the snow, or it was a block of ice. They couldn't really tell. The snow melted, and we were once again fortunate. A few kilometers downriver, we found a similar spot in a perfectly circular pond. This time only 10 meters in diameter was a smooth, solid, gigantic, and slightly curved dome covered in a layer of mud. With the help of a pole, we groped its shape, but unfortunately lacked the equipment to expose it. We would have to have drained the water and removed the mud. Our expedition was not funded by the wealthy sponsors, so we couldn't afford to load the plane with proper equipment and exceed the weight limit. So basically, they found another one. Only this one was actually like way more covered, and they didn't have the proper equipment to just clean it off. But it was there. Our investigation was further impeded by odd health problems, which manifested themselves after we spent a night near the sunken cauldrons. So again, every single person that goes near these cauldrons experiences either a health problem, an illness, or they lose their hair because of radioactivity. On the following day, I was suddenly overcome by dizziness, which led to fainting, a complete loss of balance, choking, and chills, completely without cause, just like the old Yucatan legend, and without and warnings about the Valley of Death. I couldn't stand. I was losing my vision and was unable to eat or drink anything. Jesus, was it all worth it, buddy? I appreciated his effort in the beginning, but now I'm not so sure. The crisis lasted all day. Their tents were buried by another snowstorm. The frost was complemented by a northern gale, and they were all soaked. It was as if evil demons of that. But we weren't leaving with nothing. We didn't find proof that the places we found contained the mysterious. Wait a minute. But we weren't leaving with nothing. We didn't find proof that the places we found contained the mysterious metallic cauldron. But we found something else, something just as magnificent, a pocket of titanium ore. I'm confused because I read that he said he found one cauldron, and now he's saying he didn't. So I'm gonna take back what I said. I appreciate this guy, now I don't. Like, make up your freaking mind, dude. Come on. Alright, so again, alright. What if legend-shrouded cauldrons are just uncommon or in such measurements unknown geological formations? Iron caps or gosens, lava balls, giant spherical concretions, or geodes. The described interior stairwell could have well been imagined by fantasists and ufologists. Yeah, I think the stairwell is imagined. Like, that doesn't exist. What's certain is that the earthly innards beneath the Siberian taiga, conceal great wealth and many secrets, not just about precious diamonds, but also about cauldrons, a disquieting mystery that remains unsolved. So basically, I know that was a lot to take in, but basically it's unsolved. Like, there's apparently still this notion that we don't know if they actually exist, but I've seen pictures of them. They do exist. Pictures exist of them. The cauldrons exist. Of course, I don't know about you, but I would not want to travel to see one because apparently if you get too close to it, you get exposed to radioactivity, you lose your hair, you feel sick, dizzy, you get a whole bunch of crazy stuff happen to you, and I don't want that. I hope you enjoyed this rather more unique video of Mystery Unsolved about a topic that I haven't really seen covered too much anywhere else. So one def I've always appreciated that. I can't even talk. Every freaking week I do this. Ugh. Um, I hope you appreciated this video because I appreciate the topic. It always fascinated me, so that's why I decided to do a video on it. If you like this video, again, please reach out. I'm always liking comments and feedback. I'm yet to get any feedback, and I'm 5 seasons or 6 seasons in now. I don't even know which season I'm on. But again, this has been Mystery Unsolved. Do stay tuned for next week's video, which I don't remember, but it's sure to be good. And until next week.